If your dog suddenly sniffs your private area, it can feel awkward and completely out of nowhere. But to your dog, that moment is not random, and it tells them far more than most people realize. You've probably experienced this in a social situation or at home. Your dog approaches someone directly and focuses on a very specific area. To humans, it feels inappropriate and confusing. But to a dog, it is one of the most natural ways to gather information. Dogs experience the world primarily through scent. What they smell gives them more detail than what they see or hear. And certain parts of the human body carry stronger scent signals than others. These areas provide a concentrated source of information. When your dog investigates there, they are not behaving strangely. They are going directly to the most informative source available. Dogs can detect subtle changes in hormones, stress, and physical state. These signals are invisible to humans but clear to them. This is why your dog may react differently to different people. Each person carries a unique scent profile that changes over time. When your dog sniffs in that way, they are not just identifying the person. They are gathering deeper information about their condition. This includes emotional state, recent activity, and even slight physiological changes. All of that is communicated through scent. This is also why the behavior can feel so targeted. Your dog is not guessing, they are following the strongest signal. To them, it is efficient and direct. To us, it feels unusual because we don't rely on scent in the same way. This difference in perception is where the misunderstanding comes from. We interpret behavior through a human lens, while dogs act through sensory priority. So what feels random or embarrassing is actually structured and purposeful. Your dog is simply using the most reliable tool they have. Which means the behavior is not about boundaries. It is about information. At first, this behavior feels unpredictable. It seems to happen suddenly and without warning. But if you pay attention, there are patterns. Your dog does it more in certain situations than others. They may show more interest in new people, or react differently depending on how someone feels physically or emotionally. Dogs are especially sensitive to changes in scent caused by stress or excitement. These changes create stronger signals. This is why your dog may focus more on someone who is nervous, or someone they have never encountered before. To your dog, this is not intrusive behavior. It is a way of understanding who they are interacting with. Dogs don't rely on introductions or verbal cues. They rely on what they can detect directly. And scent gives them the clearest and most immediate information. This is also why the behavior is often brief. Once your dog gathers enough information, they move on. They are not trying to linger or make a statement. They are completing a process. To humans, it feels socially uncomfortable. But to dogs, it is simply part of how they navigate interactions. And once you understand that, the behavior starts to make more sense. But there is another layer that becomes important over time. Dogs also associate scent with memory. When your dog smells someone, they are not just learning about them in that moment. They are storing that information. This allows them to recognize changes later. Even subtle differences can stand out to them. This is why your dog may react differently to someone they already know. If something about that person has changed, your dog notices. It could be emotional, physical, or environmental. But the difference becomes part of their perception. Dogs don't think in categories the way humans do. They respond to patterns and changes within those patterns. Which means scent becomes a reference point. A way to compare what is familiar with what is different. This also explains why some dogs become more attentive over time. They refine how they interpret what they detect. So what looks like a simple action is actually layered with information processing. Your dog is constantly updating their understanding. This is not conscious analysis in a human sense, but it is structured and consistent. And once you see it this way, the behavior becomes less surprising. It becomes part of how your dog experiences the world. Because your dog is not being inappropriate. They are being precise. This also explains why your dog may behave differently after that moment. Once they gather information, their response can shift. They may become more relaxed, more attentive, or slightly more cautious depending on what they detected. That change is not random. It reflects how they interpret the information they just received. This is why two people can get very different reactions from the same dog. The signals your dog detects are not the same. Some signals feel stable and predictable. Others feel unclear or unfamiliar. And your dog adjusts accordingly without needing to think about it. The response follows the information. Over time, this process becomes automatic. Your dog doesn't need to analyze consciously, they simply respond. This is what makes their behavior feel so immediate. It is based on input that happens faster than we can perceive. So the next time your dog does this, it helps to see it differently. Not as something awkward, but as something functional. Because your dog is not trying to behave in a certain way. They are simply using the most effective way they know to understand the world.